All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another episode of Reactionary Opinions, the most based and reactionary show on the African continent. It is Monday, the 7th of December. You can tell we're both in Cape Town because it's 8 o'clock and the sun's still shining pretty brightly outside, which is great, but it's also not great as well. But anyway, other than that, the Cape is beautiful. Russell, Sir Russell the Based, how are you doing there, my man?
Yeah, doing well. Had a lekker Cape Independence March over the weekend, and I'm keen to chat about it as well. Being good.
Yeah.
It was hot, but it was good.
Yeah, so I unfortunately didn't get to go to the Cape Independence March. Russell, you mind putting your phone on silent there? Shot. I didn't get to go. I actually had a surgery done on Friday, so I wasn't able to go to the march on Saturday. But other than, I was there in spirit, supporting the guys in their efforts for Cape Independence. So tonight, I just wanted to briefly run through some of the highlights and some of the main things that that happened at the march. One big thing that I think was really cool was they had the Klopser over there, and they were jamming, and they had like drums and instruments and everything. It looked like it was extremely high energy, Russell.
It was. I think it was a hot day, and everybody was lining up there in great excitement there in Cluttersville. It's about 3 km from the middle of town, and we were just excited to march. There was a good atmosphere and a very sort of happy environment. And then the guys with their drums cranked it up, and they kept us in good spirits all the way through walking through the middle of Stellenbosch there. It was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of a testament of how important this whole march is for these guys. And how much they really want this Cape Independence thing, the idea, and how excited they get and how worked up they get about that. Just want to jump into the comments here. Pause here. How's it? Hey, Dad. Beth left a comment over here. She says, "Sucks that you're live tonight. There's a stream on Joe's channel I'd really like you to weigh in on." Okay. I wonder what that's about. But I don't know, just maybe let us know what it's about, and maybe we'll, if you're watching tonight, if you're watching now, let us know what it's about, and we might just, weigh in on it on the show. Yeah. Now, anyway, yeah, so the atmosphere was great. How many people were there, Russell?
Estimate, we must remember the march was limited to 500. They wouldn't issue a permit to march for anybody more than 500 people. But on the whole, I think it was, probably 300, maybe 350 people. So not a bad turnout at all. It was also...
Okay.
I think the event was only really properly formally advertised about 2 to 3 weeks out, 3 weeks or so out. So... yeah, but I think they couldn't get more than 500 anyway, and it was the right thing to do, and it was a very enthusiastic march as well. It was great. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, hello. Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just muted you because there was a lot of loud noise coming from your bloody internet of mine. It's shocking. It's absolutely shocking. Anyway, Beth asks, were you at the march? Yes, Beth Russell was present at the march. Dag Breker, how's it? Good to have you here. Russell was present there at the march in support. But now, you know, the one of the main things, Russell, is also that, you know, the Oaks rocked up there. They were peaceful. They weren't looking to, you know, destroy things, burn things, break things, or anything like that. There wasn't. But then again, you know, March for Cape Independence is not about destroying and breaking and stuff. It's about rebuilding and coming together as communities and building instead of destroying things like our Marxist globalist shills at the EFF do. You know.
Yeah. Well, what was great about this event was there was a lot of grassroots people there. There were people from every single walk of life you could think of. From every group, like in terms of race, religion, culture, language, you know, there was literally everybody was represented. There were various organizations represented, but it was just a great feeling. Sometimes, you know, when you've got a it was like a really feeling of like a good cohesive community. You know what I mean? It was a lacquer feeling. Oh no, not again.
Perhaps a taste of time. What? Am I gone again? I'm here.
No, you froze there for a second.
I'm here, Brew. I can hear you.
Okay.
Sorry, it's ridiculous, this internet story. But anyway, perhaps all of this positivity and everything was almost a sign of hopefully things to come, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, the thing is, one of the groups there, Cape Exit, they were there. They've got 600,000 signed up people who have basically signed up in support of Cape Independence.
600, that's not that impressive.
Well, considering they only started collecting people about a year ago.
But what do they mean by signed up for Cape Independence? What does that mean? I don't get it. Like,
in other words, they've signed up that they are in support of Cape Exit and Cape Exit's a mandate to go for a referendum.
Okay, you're going to need a lot more than 600 people, but I would have been impressed if it was like 60,000.
But you must remember, that is probably 20 to 25. That is about 25% of all registered voters, eh?
600.
600,000. Yeah, there's only about 2.5 million, million registered voters.
I didn't get the 1,000 part, Russell, for God's sakes. You said 600.
I said 600,000.
Ah, okay. I didn't get the 1,000 part. I was like 600. I was like, that's like nothing.
Yeah, it works out
600,000 is impressive.
Take it into account. Look, Cape Town's Western Cape's population is between about 6.5 million, and registered voters are about maybe 2.5, 3 million.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. So, forget about it, Brie. I didn't hear the 600,000. I heard 600. So 600,000 is impressive. Yeah, it's but yeah. So that's quite impressive, and that's just Cape Exit. That's not including the Cape Party guys, the Cape Independence.
Well, look, I mean, the thing is, obviously there's duplication. So what's happened is Cape Independence Advocacy Group and Cape Party do not have a role like that. They basically consolidate. It's essentially consolidated on Cape Exit. So if you look at this whole movement, Cape Independence is not a political party, and it doesn't have one representative. It's basically, its representation politically is the Cape Party primarily, and secondly the Freedom Front Plus is the other representative for Cape Independence on the political front, and then guys like Cape Exit, the Cape Independence Advocacy Group, and there's one or two other ones as well that are just part of the broader movement. So it's not just a political movement.
Those are excited. So those guys are more sort of your grassroots type guys that will go and do community, evangelism on the idea of Cape exit and stuff.
Correct, because it's the right strategy, because a movement is always more powerful than a political party.
Yeah, of course. And a movement, generally people find movements more trustworthy than political parties. So what they'll do is, and that's why there's all these different movements, because there's clearly different types of people that would support Cape independence, and certain people would have different ideas of what Cape independence means. So, but the goal at the moment is to light the idea of Cape independence in people's minds, rather than focusing and faffing about stupid little ideas and intricacies and that sort of thing. The idea is to focus on the idea of independence, Cape independence.
It was like I was chatting, and quite a nice chat to Phil Craig. Remember, he's been on our show previously, and
yes,
I must say, Phil said he was one of that he's being on our show was one of the best interviews he ever did. Out of all the interviews he did, he thoroughly enjoyed our show. So, I think we can give ourselves a pat on the back there, which he thoroughly enjoyed it.
Well, because it's not the same mindless drivel of like, what are you going to do about the borders, and what are you going to do about money kind of nonsense.
It's like Paul was saying. People come to him and say, "Can we be your policy things?" So Paul says, "No, we are only interested in pushing for a referendum on independence. That is our mission. But nothing stopping you from writing potential policy and being part of the broader discussion once we get independence and all that sort of thing. You can write policy and all sorts of ideas and that sort of thing. That's a great idea. Just write it. You don't need us to do it." So I think I must admit, I have to really hand it to Phil Craig as a individual and how he's approached this sort of thing. It really has been very impressive. And I was also another person that I was very impressed with at the march was he gave a brilliant speech in very savor Afrikaans. So if you weren't very good at Afrikaans, you wouldn't have understood it. But for me, it's okay. Old Peter Marais from the Freedom Front gave a very good speech on the situation in South Africa and why we should push for it and why it is essential. So it was great.
Yeah, the Freedom Front is going to make massive grounds, especially here in the Western Cape, because the DA is just sort of showing themselves up as massive globalist chills, and it seems, I mean, I can't be 100% guaranteed, but it seems as if the Freedom Front's people are more sort of wary of the globalist ideas and the globalist agendas and all of that, and they understand what's going on more than like the DA. The DA, all they do is they just chill, like rock hard for it, like your friend Russell Allen Windy.
Yeah, my friend. Basically, they were at a heart. Basically, I found out two things on posts today on social media. Sorry, somewhat to go off topic, but seeing as you brought up Allen Windy, just a quick digression here. One of the things that the Western Cape government now have got as in their preventative measures is now there's a hotline you can phone if you're on taxis and public transport to report people who aren't adhering to the protocols. Right, that's the one thing. And then there were checkpoints along the N1 outside Beaufort West. Checkpoints. What is
checkpoints
this?
For what?
I don't know. It just said checkpoints.
It's just utterly. I mean, Allen Windy is like got a massive raging.
Is this like the East German Stasi or something, reporting your blimmin' fellow citizens for contraventions? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you see, this is why we need Cape independence. We need to be able to free ourselves from this sort of stuff. I mean, it's also not a guarantee that if you get Cape independence that you're going to sort of free yourself from globalism and that sort of thing. You probably probably won't. But the idea that you're able to show self-determination in the face of the globalists and stuff means a lot. It's a show of will. It's a show of people's will and the will of the people, and that's basically all this entire Cape independence thing is about. It's just about the will of the people. That's all it's about. You can't, I don't get why people seem to think that government is some sort of mystical force that floats over us, like some sort of like godlike character that just commands authority or demands authority and just unstoppable force and all that sort of thing. That's utter nonsense. The government, you must understand, government is people, and the will of the people should be commanding the government, and that's what we're going to be doing with this Cape independence story.
Well, one of the guys posted on social media, the Great Reset, Cape Independence. And wasn't it our friend Eustace?
Eustace, Cape Independence, the Great Reset, yeah.
Eustace must come on our show again. I want to get an update from him again. He must come on.
Yeah. So back to this Cape Independence March. Now, I personally, I think this should be a very common thing. I think they should be doing it once every month or 2 months or whatever it is, organizing them in different districts and different areas to do these sort of things. And eventually, once people start picking up on it and start, because it's not, I've had conversations with people about Cape independence and, people that are completely oblivious to the idea that it even exists. And there's a lot of people out there that just have got no cooking clue that there's movements out there campaigning for Cape independence. And some of the looks that you get are just like, are you insane? Like, are you crazy? Like, this is just the dumbest thing
That's what's so cool about it, Scott. That's what's so cool about it. We get to be the crazy ones.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like,
but it's worse than being there's nothing worse than being the status quo oak.
But you said, Russell, the status quo is dangerous. So
well, exactly. So there's nothing worse than being status quo.
Yeah. Nothing worse. It is. I can't think of anything worse than being. It's basically you're just basic. Like you're not thinking.
Yeah, you're very basic.
No, you haven't taken the. And it's not like you won't understand it. It's just you're just too busy in your life, in your world that you live in, to think about anything outside of the box. I mean, you see the world crumbling around you. You see yourself getting poorer and poorer by the day, but you don't want to do anything about it. And you also want to laugh at people that come up with some sort of idea,
Yeah.
It's bizarre. It's the strangest thing ever.
It's like it's strangely enough, we've had so far. Let's just look at the political reaction to Cape independence. We've had the DA being forced to ask questions on it. I mean, every time a DA member or something goes on Ronaldo's show, he has to ask questions about Cape independence. The EFF has said, Ndlozi said, there will be no Boer republic anywhere in South Africa and all this sort of thing. Like we really care what Ndlozi and the EFF say. You know what I mean? I'm just waiting for a senior ANC official to say something. Then I'll know we're winning.
Yeah, well, this is the thing: is as soon as you're on the lips of the politicians, then you know you're doing something right.
Yeah, then we're winning.
So it's like the first time. I'm just going to jump in the comments here, Russell. Just keep that comment for 1 second. I just want to jump in here. Bugulu Bursian says Alan Winde is so globalist light, it's disgusting. It could be. He could have maybe wanted to say is so globalist elite. It's disgusting, but maybe globalist light. Daniel says, lack of funds for these COVID measures might come to the rescue. So, yeah, that could be something that that might, curtail Alan Windy's massive globalist freaking hard on. So, anyway, yeah, moving on. Sorry, Russ, you were saying.
What was I saying? Oh yes, a senior ANC politician. If they come up and say something, and you're really over the target. So as soon as I get to see an article where a very senior ANC politician says, "We will never entertain Cape independence," blah 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 blah, I'm going to put a post saying, "Winning."
Yeah. Say something like, what's it? When you're getting flack, you're over the target.
You're over the target.
Yeah. But it's true though. I mean, this is all we need to do is just get the attention of the politicians. And it'll come. Like people laugh at Cape independence, they laugh at the idea and stuff, but it'll come. It's absolutely inevitable. South Africa is a entirely failed country. I mean,
there's that aspect. There's the will in the Western Cape to do it, all right, and there's also a ever decreasing, an ever weakening central government. Actually, the government is getting incredibly weak. It is getting weaker by the day, actually. So as long as our movement gets stronger and our central government gets weaker, because there's so much infighting and backwards and forwards, they don't know their ear from their elbow up there. It's not this is not 1982 National Party government, this.
Yeah. So this is an interesting comment of Yaba Dagbreker. I think it's actually, I've thought about this as well. So he says, my neck hair stands when I see those who were initially against an independent Cape are now worming their way back. Stakeholders will determine the outcome. Now, yeah, look, it's going to be a very tricky situation, that where you might get sort of big corporates and that sort of thing influencing these outcomes and that sort of thing as well. Could be, but yeah, I've also thought about that. But a lot of oaks that were initially against it are now for it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, look, there's always a possibility. I think what Dagbreker is saying here is always a possibility that when it becomes apparent that independence may happen, what happens is the stakeholders position themselves for the after effect. Okay. And then what happens is they make sure that their people are in charge when they take over.
Yeah, exactly.
Not always, it can still be to our benefit, all right, but it can also not be. For instance, we could just replace basically the stakeholders. If we have a referendum and get independence, or let's just use this as an example, okay? The stakeholders will put their people in charge, and we'll become like another type of shilling globalist entity. I'm using this as an example.
No. I mean, that's exactly what I meant. I mean, I get that. I get that 100%. Giant technocrats could pull in here because they could stand a chance to make a lot of money. You know what I mean? In the Western Cape.
And it was very interesting that discussing with the general people around drinks afterwards. We had a couple of beers at a restaurant there afterwards, and just discussing with them, it was quite interesting how many of the people around the table that I chatted to, must have been about 10, 12 people, is that their main concern from a going forwards point of view is that, the primary reason for one of the biggest, the most urgent things of an independent Western Cape or Cape Province is to attain full employment. All right. That is our goal from an economic perspective, is full employment. Once we've got that, we can cover a lot of other ground, So it's like a lot of the people there were like labor capitalists,
Were they now, Russell? Were they?
Yeah.
You telling me you were sitting around a table in Stellenbosch with a bunch of National Socialists?
Labor capitalism is not National Socialism. It's only that case that says labor capitalism is National Socialism.
Yeah, so this is a very good point that he writes over here. It can be beneficial, but don't sacrifice more than you should. And that's I think that's got to do with what we need to capture as a Western Cape within the actual ethos of the Western Cape. And when this sort of thing happens, there has to be some sort of self-determination, constitution, or whatever it is drawn up in order to maintain this ethos where outside forces cannot, just pull India and all of that. But that's also, again, semantics. The bottom line is South Africa, the way it exists today, is never going to continue working, and it needs to be changed. And the only way that we're going to be able to change that is Western Cape. Hopefully KZN will follow after that. I don't see them not following suit.
Well, look, it's our great, it's South Africa's. I think we must hijack the phrase, the Great Reset. It's our Great Reset.
Build back better, or what?
Hijack words. We are decolonizing. We are building back better. We are and having our own Great Reset.
turn their words against them, because that's the thing, is these globalists are so good at words. They really are good at words.
Decolonization, build back better, and our Great Reset. Done.
Yeah, I'm all for that. Why not? This kind of Great Reset, because it's self-determination is something that is just it's the one determining factor that's going to set you aside from anywhere else in this current world at this point in time. Now, every single developing or developed country in this world is so under the heel of the globalists, and so dependent on big multinational corporates and world government and all of that. And the only way that you're going to be able to, as a country, set yourself aside from all of those other places is by creating your own self-identity. It's like it's the same as our Polish and our Hungarian friends. They are all about creating their own identity, their own independent identity. And we need to be able to do that same sort of thing in the Western Cape. And I think that if you talk to people and you tell them about this, I think people will listen. I don't think people will have an issue with it, realistically.
I think at the end of the day, I think when you discuss it with people, you've got to be almost you got to come across as almost that there isn't another option, So you got to ask them, okay, you come up with a better idea for the country, then, what's a better idea? What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Democratic Alliance, the Democratic Alliance, a strong opposition. Like that's the first thing that'll come out, obviously.
That strong opposition argument has been lost now. They're not going to use that again.
No. It's the go-to. The Democratic Alliance will liberate us, guys. That's the go-to. and people believe that, especially here in the Western Cape. They legitimately believe in the Democratic Alliance.
I don't think people have got the political loyalty that I get what you're saying, but I don't think people have got that level of political loyalty. I don't think it's true.
Maybe not that level, but I don't think people give it that much thought, though, Russell. This is the truth.
Yeah, well, that's our job then, isn't it? I mean, the more we get into the media, the more people start talking about it as an idea, the more opportunity it is for us. Even if it's like Phil Craig said, if they write a scathing article against the movement, it's good news.
Brilliant.
If they write a good, if they write a good or bad a good article, it's good news. There's no bad news for us.
No, of course not. All news is good news, or whatever.
Yeah, in our position right now, all news is good news.
Yeah. No matter how bad it is or whatever it is.
And I mean, the thing is, we even had his lordship over there, that UCT, so-called constitutional expert, Pierre de Vos, weighing in on the ridiculousness of Cape Independence. You know what I mean?
Was he there at the march?
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't at the march, but he wrote an article and what have you, and made comments about it as well. You know, like we really care what Pierre de Vos thinks.
Pierre de Vos is a relic, man. He belongs, in a shelf in a book somewhere, gathering dust in a UCT library somewhere. He must piss off now, because he's a relic. Like, no one listens to what he says anymore. Well, actually, you'd be surprised. There's probably a lot of people that listen to him, unfortunately.
Yeah, only if you're at UCT,
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of young, impressionable minds at UCT, which he feeds off of like a zombie.
Don't worry, man. We can win them over. We're cooler than them.
No, I know. I honestly, and the nice thing that I like about the whole Cape Independence thing is there's a lot of youngsters that are now jumping on the bandwagon as well. A lot of young guys, getting involved, which is great. They should.
It was so cool on Saturday. We had young people, we had old people. Even at the One Oak there, he was dressed in his Khoisan traditional clothes, and
that's lekker.
We had Rastafarians there, and we had all sorts of people there. It was so cool.
But that's lekker, man. That's lekker. That's what it's all about, man. And not this. Not that, and it's nice. Like, it's a breath of fresh air to see something like that happen. Where communities come together instead of, hurtling racist remarks and that sort of thing at each other and all of that. Rather just come together. Right, Oaks, we've got this problem. How are we going to now fix it? How are we going to overcome this? Ooh. And that's how communities are supposed to work. They're not supposed to. But the EFF and the globalists and all of them, I always say this. Like, I can't use the EFF on its own. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, but the EFF will do this, or the EFF will do that. The EFF doesn't have an original thought anywhere in that entire party. There's no original thought anywhere. So I don't say the EFF will do this, because the EFF is not, they are fake. They don't exist. They're not what they say they are. They're all fake. They are a product of the globalists. They are just out there shouting like speaking points or talking points that globalists, have made them talk about. So the EFF doesn't do anything. It's the globalists and the EFF who do this. So the globalists and the EFF are not about building communities and that sort of thing. They're about destroying them and about breaking them down, taking everything that we know to be good, turning it upside down and completely tarring it with a totally different brush. And that's what cultural Marxism is. And, the EFF and the globalists are champions at that.
Yep. It goes like this. They are the ones that break our communities. But it is us and those that know this truth will put an end to it.
Exactly. Anyway, Russell, I'm a little bit knackered, so I'm gonna finish this now, if that's okay. Go for a few more minutes.
Good. Yeah, we can finish up. Yeah,
I'm a little bit knackered, a little bit tired this evening, and a bit of a hectic day, but it's all good. Anyway, any closing statements, Russell?
No, it's. I think I would encourage anybody to, if you get an opportunity to attend a Cape Independence Advocacy Group March or one of these events again, like Phil Craig said, we will be having them again, but he wanted to start building some momentum. He said he doesn't want you. Obviously, you don't want to organize your very first march and march to Parliament and you only get 500 people. You know what I mean? You want to start building in these small areas, because in the small areas, a small crowd gets a lot more attention. You get what I'm saying? So starting like Paarl, in Stellenbosch, Paarl, Worcester, maybe like a Somerset West, a Strand, these little places all over the place. And then or even like in the northern suburbs. So build some momentum so that people know what they've have a good experience. So when you have the big one as a march to Parliament or something like that, then you've got some clout, you know what I mean? Then you've got that you're going to get some traction.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I'm with you, Phil Craig. Like, that's the thing, is Phil Craig's just like a normal guy. He's not this amazing, like, a politician type, intellectual type main oak and all that, but he's just a good oak. He's a good old-fashioned English type guy that's ready for the fight. And you've got to give him that. He really is a good guy. He's ready, he's out there, he's doing the groundwork, he's got a large family with kids and everything to look after, and he's out there putting in the groundwork. And I think that all of us can take a book out of, or page out of his book.
Look, I'm a full Craig fan. I'm a fan.
A guy that for all intents and purposes is not like a like extremely impressive oak. He really isn't. Like, he's just a normal guy. But the reality of it, guys, is that it's the normal guys that get things done. It's the flashy oaks and the main oaks and all of that literally don't do anything. So get behind these guys, support them. They are good people. And let's march onwards to Cape Independence. What do you say, Russell?
Amen, brother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really bummed that I missed the march, but I will definitely be at the next march. Anyway, thank you.
Sorry, just with my discussions I had with people, I'm probably going to have about an extra 5 people that want to come with me next time.
Yeah, there we go. You see, that's proper Cape Independence evangelism right there. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, everyone that's listening out there. Remember to have a fantastic Monday evening, and remember to stay reactionary out there, because as always,
God wills it.